you've supported and who you've worked with in the past doesn't matter a jot to landlords. They couldn't care less. All they want is a competent performer who doesn't scare the punters away, and he's going to get people to pay and spend money and come back again when you're playing next. So have that in mind, so do everything you can to keep people in the establishment as long as you can. So that means talking to people in between breaks. I often do a thing where, I'll do like fun little drinking games to get people, especially if, you start at 8 o'clock and people are already a bit, they're not drinking or they're not drunk, they're not merry, get people to start drinking, cheers. And I do this thing with fingers. So if you're doing three sets, I'll say, okay, this is the first set. So you get one finger on the glass and you drink the thickness of a finger, cheers, and everyone, okay, I'll do that. And then by the second set, it's like, okay, we do 2 fingers. And then people remember, oh yeah, 2 fingers. A lot of people by then are loosened up and they'll go, oh, I'm going to do all 4 fingers. And of course, that's what you want. You want people to just get drunk, basically, to buy more drinks. So anything you can think about that gets people, and you don't do that, like you don't hammer it and make it like a big thing, but you just do it every now and then just to, when it's appropriate. Fun little drinking games, call and response stuff, the kind of stuff that Freddie Mercury did at Live Aid. I do this thing, I go, whoa, 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 and the audience go, whoa, 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 and backwards and forwards, and you can play with that. It just gets people engaged. And then it also creates an atmosphere that something's happening, there's energy happening when people walk in. People just come in and they're hearing all this, whoa, 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 and everyone's having a great time. They're going to come in. If they're hesitating at the door, they're going to come in, they're going to sit down. Or maybe they had plans, they were going to go here for one drink and go somewhere else, and they end up staying all night. That's the kind of thing. And you can see all this happening when you're on stage. You can see what people are doing and how they're responding. And so you play to the crowd in that way of like, also what I know works if it's quite slow to start with and you've got couples in, maybe it's a Friday night and it's more of a coupley night, then play to the couples. I always say, okay, engage with the couple. Oh, you're out tonight. Are you a brother and sister or a wife? And have a joke with it, and then just say, okay, well, can I dedicate this song to you? This is the song for the lovers. And then play a nice romantic love song, and the men love that because then they can say, hey, and because the women just melt and they go, oh, it's so sweet. And then obviously they're more receptive to the man. They want to stay. The man feels good because the woman's more attuned to him, and it just creates a great atmosphere. So again, it's playing to the audience that you've got, engaging with people all the time. Now, I'm not the best musician. I'm kind of more of a rhythm guitarist than a kind of a lead guitarist. I'm not fancy. I can do a bit of finger picking and stuff like that, but I'm a very kind of meat and potatoes. I've got an okay voice. But I think my strength is that I engage with people through humor, and I can see what's going on and I respond to what's going on in the room. It's like being a stand-up comedian in ways. You're breaking the fourth wall. You're not just delivering a performance without engaging. You're engaging what's happening live in the room and responding to it. If someone starts a conga, then you join in with the conga, or whatever it is. Somebody comes in with an AC/DC t-shirt on, you suddenly go into Highway to Hell or something like that. You just respond to what's happening. And name checking people is big. People love to hear their names mentioned, especially bar staff. So this is another good thing. Get there early, learn people's names. Learn the manager's name, very importantly, and the bar staff's name, and if they've got security, their name. If there's a sound engineer there, very important, remember his name. Anyone who's like the peripheral staff, remember their names and use them. So you could say in between songs, oh, you've got to try this they've got a new drink on tonight. It's the new they've got on tap tonight, and no one pulls a better pint than Paul. He's over there. He's going to serve you. He pulls a cracking pint of Guinness or whatever it is. Give them all around. Give the bar staff a round of applause for keeping you liquored up all night. Whatever it is, give the security a round of applause for keeping us safe. Give the cleaner a round of applause for cleaning the toilets. Whatever it is, it could be just funny, but name check people, make people feel a part of the night, a part of the proceedings. And again, don't just show up and just play songs without engaging, because nobody wants that. Landlords don't want that. They've got a jukebox. They can just play a jukebox for that, and just have people talk. And they don't want that. They've paid you to engage people and to create the kind of night that people go, oh, who's this guy? When's he playing again? And like I said, it helps if you're a good musician, you can sing and you know the songs that people want to play. That's another good thing. If people have requests, you can invite requests. And if you don't know it, you say, okay, well, I'll learn it for next time, or I will, how about this song that's very similar? What I like to do is a bit of a joke. If somebody shouts out a song I don't know, you repeat what you think they've said, but with the song that you do know. So they might have shouted out, can you play Baby Shark? And obviously you're not going to play that. So you say, can I play Wonderwall? Of course I can. And then you say, that's a bit of a joke, because people, again, it's making a joke out of things, keeping it going. Be light-hearted, keep the energy light, and keep engaged. I can't stress that enough. That is the number one reason why people want to rebook you, because you're not just playing a gig, and it's not like busking where you're just standing there playing. You're actually trying to engage more, because people are actually coming to watch you. So when it's been successful is when the manager will say, oh, when can you play again? Or if you ask, always ask for feedback at the end of the night and say, how did you think that went? Then it gives them an opportunity to say, actually, yeah, that was really good. Can you play again? Or, sometimes it might not be so good. It might not be what you think it is, and they'll give you feedback. So always take that feedback and work with it. It might hurt sometimes. You might think, what? I thought that was great. But sometimes they might say you played too fast, or you were too loud, or you had a couple of complaints because you weren't engaging and something like that. And that happens. Sometimes they won't say it to your face. But take all this criticism not as take it as fuel to change. It can be, our egos are hurt at the time, but you just got to get over it and invite feedback, invite criticism, constructive criticism, and do something with it. And I've had a lot of times like that, where I've sometimes I think I've played a good gig, and then other people have said, oh, they didn't like it for whatever reason. And that's fine, but you need to know why, and then you can work with it. And the other times I've had gigs where I thought, oh, that went terribly. No one was like really listening. I was trying to engage and no one engaged. And then they're like, oh yeah, when can you play again? That was great. So you just don't know sometimes, but oftentimes you will, because the idea is you're controlling the performance. You're engaging. So that's what I need to say about pub gigs. And obviously it makes sense to have your name there. Sometimes some pubs will let you take tips as well. I've done that, especially during COVID, when the money was down a bit. You were allowed to take tips, even when you were getting paid. Some bars in America, for example, they only take tips. They won't pay you. You just do tips. So what I like to do, especially, is if not necessarily getting financial tips, but I get this, which is Google Business Profiles, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So I get a card like this, and I stick that on the mic stand, and I say, if you're having fun, are you having fun tonight? People go, yeah. And say, okay, if you're really having fun, if you scan this and just give me a review, because it just really helps helps me get more gigs. And if you send a picture and a review, I'll give you a drink at the end of the night, something like that. Now, oftentimes you'll get given free drinks, or a certain amount of drinks for free or cheap price if you're playing. So, giving away a drink in exchange for a review sometimes doesn't cost you anything. So little things like that, again, keeps people engaged. And if you're working for an agency, then you still want to get reviews for yourself, building up your own profile, okay? Building up your own contacts and your own fan base. So it's very important. Use every live opportunity to get people to get in your email list, like I'm doing with this. So if you sign up for my email list, I'll give you this free book and my PDF about how to earn 10K as a musician, 52 ways to do that. I'll give you both of those for free in exchange for your email address, and I'll keep sending you updates with the newsletter, stuff like this, stuff that I'm working on, stuff that I know that works, stuff that's going on in the music industry, all in an email, and I send it 3 times a week. So it's no spam in there, and obviously you can opt out at any point. So I think I've said enough about pub gigs. Again, there's lots more to say about that. And you can talk to me on the list as well. You can email me stuff, and I'll be talking more about this. stuff as we go on. If you email me like, oh, can you talk more about pub gigs, then I'm happy to tell you about that. And again, pricing is I'll just finish on pricing, because that can be a big thing that people get stuck on. How much to charge, how much is the fair price? It all depends on where you're at, how long the gig is, where it is, how big it is, how many punters they get. Is it small pub, big pub? Is it part of a chain? Do you have to supply your own equipment? Do you have to travel to get there? How long is the set? Is it a Friday or Saturday? Is it Wednesday afternoon? Whatever. All these things factor in to the performance. So there's no one fee that's going to do that. But let's use £85. If you're in the Musicians Union, I think it's like £85 an hour is the kind of minimum wage for a musician. Or so if you base it on that, let's say if you're £170 for 2 hours, it's about right. That's about the going rate. So anything less than that, you're going under the union recommendation. Anything more than that is gravy. So take with that with a pinch of salt, or do your own research on that. But I think that's about the sort of anchor mark you're aiming for. So a few other things. I wanted to talk about. I'm going back to busking now. This is advanced busking. So let's say by now you've got a great set. You can play pub gigs. You can play for like 2-3 hours. You've got loads of great cover songs that people love to sing along to. You're playing well wherever you go. You're getting well received. You're getting rebooked. You're at that kind of level where you don't have bad gigs generally. You just show up and you can entertain, and you're going to do a good job. You're not a beginner anymore in terms of that, that kind of scene. So it might be time to do things like courtyard concerts. Now, this is advanced tip. This isn't in the book. These two things aren't in the book. So courtyard concerts. Now, this was a thing in COVID. When COVID, everything shut down. Everyone was at home. Here, I live in an apartment block, and in the courtyard there's there's a courtyard, and everyone was on their balconies, and the sun was shining, and people were stuck inside and sitting out on the balconies with nothing to do. And so I thought this is a perfect opportunity for me as a busker just to entertain. So I went outside, I set myself up in the courtyard and started playing. I did like 15 minutes, and I put like a sign up, my VIPS number, and just spoke on the mic. So I'm just going to do a short set just to entertain you, play some music. If you feel free to donate if you want. And I made over £200 in like 15 minutes. That's because I had a captive audience, right? So I kind of rinsed and repeated that, and I thought actually this is kind of a cool thing to do. It worked very well in COVID because there was no other competition and no one could go anywhere and do anything. But it could still work now. So I'm saying, like, instead of busking, going to a high street, maybe there's a place, like a public place where people gather. Maybe it's a restaurant. Maybe it's an apartment block where you live, or an apartment block that you can get access to, the courtyard. And again, don't be a pest, don't be a nuisance, don't crank it up too loud that you're annoying everyone. Just say, hey, look, I'm just going to play you a little concert, 10-15 minutes, give you a flavour of what I'm about. Here's my card. If you like it, then share it. And again, people were filming it and all this kind of stuff. So it's great for content. So courtyard concerts are the way to go. If another kind of advanced strategy, and obviously you need a bit of you need some minerals to do that. Like, it takes some courage to actually do that, because you're always going to get one or two are like, oh, F off, or you don't want this, or you're waking me up, or whatever. But what I found is 99% of the people loved it, and you always get one or two that are kind of shouting something off the balcony. But again, if you're only playing 10-15 minutes and you're in the day, you're not after 11 or before 8 or whatever the law is, then there's nothing really they can do about it. And if they did call the police, by the time they come, you're gone anyway. So that kind of stuff you can do. Another thing is busking the line. Now, this is a great way if you want to, let's say you wanted to go and see Oasis, and you haven't got a ticket, which is probably a lot of people. Now, I don't know where they're playing next, but if you go to where the next venue is that they're playing, and you busk in the line where people are going in, you put a sign up saying, tickets wanted, or, we'll busk for free tickets, or whatever sign you want to put up, something like that. Not if you play Oasis songs, obviously not only are you going to get tips from the Oasis fans, then more than likely you're going to get a ticket, or somebody might get you in. Now, I've done this not with Oasis, but I did it personally. I tried it out. Someone told me about it. And I thought, no, that's not going to work. I tried it for a Lionel Richie concert. I was living in Birmingham, ICC, the big concert hall is literally 10 minutes from my house. So I thought, okay, Lionel Richie's playing. I learned a couple of Lionel Richie songs, and then I played the line. People were tipping me as they were going in. And then I packed up, and then I had a sign saying, free tickets wanted. And just as I was about to pack up, somebody came and they offered me 2 tickets. 2 separate people offered me tickets. And these tickets were like 80, £90, really good seats. It was a sold out gig. So I took the tickets, watched the gig. I left before the encore, came outside and then played again when people were leaving out, and I got more money. So I actually got paid to go to a concert. Now, this has worked for Bruce Springsteen here in Oslo. A friend of mine, Dave Fisher, brilliant busker, he busked the line for Bruce Springsteen, got 2 free tickets, gave me one. So I went to see Bruce Springsteen for free. And he's done that many times. And I know lots of people who've done it many, many times for most gigs. It will work 99% of the time. You just got to be patient and obviously play the songs of the band that you're going to see. So try it out, busking the line. It works time and time again. Festivals, it works for gigs, it works for shows, it works for concerts, whatever. Try it out. Not many people know about that, but it works. And again, that's not in the book. So let's move on. Now, this is an extension of what I've already talked about. So let's say you're doing, let's talk about, I'm going to briefly touch on this. I'm going to rewind a sec. Teaching. So this is something else that I've done. As I said, I can't read music and I'm not a virtuoso, but I know a lot of chords and I know which chords to play for. I know how to play a lot of songs because a lot of pop songs are only 4 chords anyway. So if you know 4 or 5 or 6 chords, then you can teach someone else to play it. And you could say, well, most people learn online. Well, that's fair enough. Yeah, most people do. But there's a lot of people who want that kind of live experience. And I got paid just for that. I taught this young lady, and actually the father of the young lady, he can actually play guitar himself, but he didn't want to teach her. Or maybe she didn't want to be taught by him. She wanted lessons of somebody else. So anyway, I taught her to play some pop songs. And that can be something that you can do. It could be a course, so it could be learn to play Wonderwall in 8 weeks. And this is obviously aimed at someone who's a complete novice, who's just picked a guitar up for the first time. Or someone who's, maybe if you've got more skill and you've got more kind of, it could be like teaching finger picking or a certain style that you know how to play. But do it as a course. Don't just do like one lesson, charging per lesson. Say, okay, we're going to do 8 weeks and you're going to start here. And by the end of it, you're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to play 3 songs at an open mic or something like that. Have an end goal that they're working towards, an 8-week course or 12-week course. And obviously then that you get paid. You're not chasing money after each gig, after each lesson rather. And it's something that you can do as a group even. You could get a group of people, like a small group, and do one-to-many instead of one-to-one. So there's lots of things you can do with teaching. And like I say, don't think that you have to be a qualified music teacher to do it. As long as you know a bit more than the person who you're teaching, then that's all you need to know. Obviously, it helps if you've got some teaching experience. Not everyone can teach. There's a method to it, but again, you can teach yourself how to teach. It's not that difficult. So that's another way you can make income. I've talked about group workshops, and of course you can do online lessons as well. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was gigs, is not just pub gigs, but also daytime gigs. The other thing that came out of me busking and doing all these pub gigs and stuff was that I got invited to play for mentally handicapped people called Men. In the UK, the charity is called MenCap. And they have centres all over the UK, and they need entertainment, or they require entertainment. They have a budget for it, and so they invited me in to play for an hour, and it was the most fun I've ever had. They were great, and we mixed it up. We didn't just do live music; we used a lot of percussion. We did some karaoke and all that kind of stuff, but it was just really great fun. And of course, you're not going to earn maybe as much as a pub gig, but they can pay between 50, 80, £100 sometimes, depending on what it is. on the frequency of it. And that can be a regular thing. So maybe if you're doing that once or twice a week, you can do that in the day. You can busk in the afternoon and play a gig at night. So you can stack these income things together and start getting regular money from these gigs. And also there's tribute bands. It's something I haven't done, but I know I see a lot of people doing that as well. So let's say you look or sound like somebody who's dead, ideally, who's good. Maybe you look like Paul McCartney, or you look like Meatloaf, or sound like Meatloaf, or maybe you look like, if you're lucky enough, maybe you look and sound like Jim Morrison. So you could do your own Doors tribute act. So you could do like a tribute act. I've seen Robbie Williams, all these kind of acts that maybe are quite popular. And again, that you get paid quite a lot of money for that, a lot more than you just do regular covers, because it's a very specific show. People can sell tickets to that kind of stuff. And you probably need a little more investment in stage performance as well. So you probably need more of a light show. You might need a proper sound engineer. You might need props. You might need a whole band to do it. So obviously the outlay becomes more, but then the profits become more. So tribute bands is something you could look into as well. Like I say, I haven't got personal experience of that, but I know a lot of artists, musicians who do a mixture of music. They do those. And there's a band called Field Report, I think, who like an indie band, and they have doubled up as a Doors tribute band. Because playing original live music doesn't pay as much. Especially in the UK, there's less and less venues now, and it's harder to make a living touring because of all the costs, and especially with Brexit and all that kind of stuff. And so there's just different ways to make money, and say tribute acts is one of them. Another one, which is something I've done once but I haven't done, and I know there's a whole subculture around this, is house concerts. And that's just a subject in itself. So there's a whole circuit of house concerts. And so the idea is, obviously people pay you and you come and play in their house. They invite like 10, 15, 20 people around, and everyone pays like an entry fee, and you're just playing in someone's living room. Or if they've got a bigger house, you might be playing in the garage or in the back garden or whatever. So that's something else you can get into as well, house concerts. And that oftentimes you get paid a lot more. You get put up for the night. They'll probably feed you. So it's more relaxed, that can be very profitable as well. You can get on the circuit of that, and obviously once one person books you on the circuit and you go down well, then you're more likely to get booked through word of mouth. So look into that. House concerts is another thing, and again, this can be another part of your income stack. House concerts, you could be busking, you could be teaching, you could be busking the line, you could be doing house concerts, residential gigs, also residential homes, dementia homes. I've played those as well. Again, it's a bit like MenCap. Those gigs are usually an hour at a time, and they're all in the day, usually around before or after lunch. So middle of the day, you're not out late at night. And again, these are the things you can stack up. You could do a dementia gig, residential gig, busk for a couple of hours, play a gig at night, do some teaching online. All these things you can stack up and you can make money out of it. It's not hard. And so let's move on to passive plays. Now, this is something not many people know about, Elastic Stage. And again, I'm going to put the link down below. It's an affiliate link, so if you do sign up, I get a very small kickback, but it's nothing major at all. But basically, Elastic Stage is basically setting up your own record shop, drop shipping vinyl. So let's say you went out and you busked and you recorded it. You could upload that track into the interface, and you could have that as a record that people could then buy as a vinyl record. Obviously, you'd have to create the artwork and all that kind of stuff and make it look appealing, but someone could buy that and it would be downloaded to them, that it would be drop shipped to them. So you don't hold the inventory. You're not like boxes of records selling them out in the back of your car. If somebody buys one record, they get delivered. Elastic Stage look after all of that. All you do is just put create your shop, if you like, online, and then people buy the stuff from there. So Elastic Stage is a great way of starting your own record label and starting your own record store. And again, like I said, all you do, you get a percentage. So if you're selling like a deluxe version of a live album, obviously you're going to get more money than if you're selling a single. So but check it out. It's a really great way of bolstering your income stream. So let's say you're busking, you could have these QR codes that take people to your Elastic Stage shop. And you can say, right, this set that I've played today is going to be limited edition. I'm going to do 10 copies, because you can do all this digitally. You can create the parameters yourself. It's going to be a live limited edition album. The first 10 people will get it at this price. After that, it's gone. And if people enjoyed that performance, and let's say you were name checked some people while you were playing, they go, "Oh, I was on that performance. You talked to me, or I sang on that performance, or I duetted with them, or whatever it was." They're going to go, "Oh, I want to buy that record." So you can create a lot of demand by creating like limited editions of things. Any gig you play, just if there's a sound engineer there, you give them a tip and you pay them 30, 40 quid and say, "Can you give me a really good sound mix? Because I'm going to create a live album." And you've got a live album which you can sell for, as long as you want it to. Create it as a limited edition, or you could create it as just have it up there all the time, like the Who live at Leeds. It could be your seminal live album that's always for sale. And so for that one investment of £40 to pay a good sound engineer, you could make that back with one sale, or maybe two, and then the rest of it is all profit. So these are things that, again, just you can stack in your income stream. The other one is called Tribe of Noise, and all the links will be down below. I'll put all the links it'll either be down below or in a PDF. It's called Tribe of Noise, and I joined them about 10, 12 years ago, maybe longer. And basically you upload your songs, and they upload, if they like them, they upload them to in-stores across Europe. And when I mean in-stores, I mean shops, I mean shopping malls, restaurants, places like anywhere that has kind of music. Some people have, when you go in a store, you'll hear chart music, stuff like Adele or the Manic Street Preachers or Oasis or whatever. And that's stuff that they've paid the PRS to have that license to be able to play that kind of music. And so it costs the store to play that, okay, legally. So they have to pay a PRS license. Now, if they want music in their store, but they don't want to pay for the PRS, now this is where Tribe of Noise comes in, because it's another version. It's like, okay, they will play you songs that maybe you're not familiar with, but they're still good quality songs. They're high quality. They're just not that familiar. It's still music, pleasant music, so people listen to it, and they pay like a smaller amount than they would pay for a PRS license. But that means if your track is featured on their playlist, you will get paid every time it gets played. A bit like Spotify, every time your track gets played, it earns a royalty, and that's how this works. The only difference is with this that because it's anonymous, you don't get seen. It's not like announcing, you go, "Hey, this is the next song by Spence." It's not a radio station. It's just like a playlist, right? So it's just one track after the next, but there's no announcement or anything. So you won't be able to build your brand or your name from that. But what you will do is get your music out there that people will be able to hear it, and you'll get paid for it. And I've had music up on there for years, and what I do, you can cash out anytime you get above €100. You can cash out. And what I do, I just let it build up, and then every year I just cash out and I use it to buy Christmas presents, or if I'm paying for a recording or something music related. So it's completely passive income from music. Obviously, it depends on whether they accept it or not. And when I started, there was a lot less competition. Now it's a lot more saturated. There's a lot more people who are applying to put music on there, but it's still unknown. I mean, the amount of people I share this with, and I talk about Tribe of Noise, and people are like, "What? Never heard of it." And there's people who have told about it, but they've never done anything about it. They've never uploaded the music. So maybe you'll be in the 1% of people that actually go, "Tribe of Noise, I'm going to do that. Passive income, hell yeah, I'm going to do it." So that's another one. This is adding to your income stack. And like I say, this is totally passive, and it's not like Spotify when you need to upload all your music, and you have to upload your press pack and your photos, and people are looking at how many streams you've got. It's just you don't see any of that, or you see that in your back in the panel, in your kind of what's it called, in the dashboard. But no one else sees. All they do is just hear your music. So That's Elastic Stage and Tribe of Noise, and Google Business Profiles. I talked about that. Now, this is a mindset thing. So this whole thing is about building an empire of your own music, which means keeping control of everything. So keeping control of your contact list. So have an email list, have a website, have socials, have all that, but use that as a funnel to get people to opt in to your email list. So you can build a direct relationship with them. And by the way, don't forget, if you want this Busking for Beginners book, which has got 25 plus 5-star reviews on Amazon, and it's usually $7, I'll give you it for free. And it'll also got my PDF for 52 ways to make 10K as a musician. If you want those completely free, just opt in down below on your email, and I'll also send you my newsletter, which talks about how to make money out of music. I talk about experiments that I'm doing, things that I know are working, things that are going on in the music industry that I'm going to comment on. So all that good stuff. So let's talk about mindset. So we're talking about own your own empire. Don't hand over control unless there's a massive upside, unless you're going to win totally on the other side. More often than not, contracts are designed to for you not to win, especially music contracts. So join the musicians union, join a union wherever you are. If you're in the UK, musicians union. If you're elsewhere, join the one there, and get advice. Any contracts you get put under your nose, get advice before you sign it, and get everything in writing. Let's go back to the pub gigs, for example. Get all of those in writing. Agreements online and stuff like that. If that's the best you can do, then as long as you've got it in an email, or if you've got it on a Facebook Messenger or something that you can track it back and say, no, you said this and you said that about this, that's okay. But it's best to get like a written agreement as well. And if people bulk at doing a written agreement, that could be a little red flag that they might not want to play ball, or they might be thinking of trying to rip you off, or they're not very transparent about the way they do things. And it happens all the time. People can be as nice as pie, and then can delay payment and not pay you. So it's all about being as if you present yourself as professional as possible, it makes them think twice about treating you poorly, because they think, oh, he kind of knows what he's doing. So have that attitude that this is your business. Okay, yeah, you might get a bit giddy if someone's offering you money to play a gig that you'd have done for free. But you have to get over that and just go, I'm a business, I'm providing a service, and I need to get paid for that. You wouldn't call a plumber up and say, hey, I'll pay you in exposure. You need to get paid because you're providing a service. So treat it like that. Like I say, get everything in writing. Contracts, get in writing. Get legal advice if you don't understand something. And because if you undersell yourself, especially as a musician, if you do something cheaply or you kind of undercut people, then you're undercutting yourself, because the next person will go, well, this person did it for half of that price. And so it pushes everything down. It puts more pressure on people. It makes it harder to make a living. So you're doing not just yourself a disservice, but you're doing the whole music community a disservice. So always get paid what you're worth, know what you're worth. And don't be afraid to say, this is my price, I'm not going to budge on it. Don't be afraid that you're going to miss out on that gig, because maybe you will. But the next gig, you will know that you will get that, and people respect you more for it if you hold out and don't just kind of cave in and go, okay, I'll do it for that. Because they won't respect you either. Then they probably won't even pay you properly if you cave like that, because people respect people who have boundaries and have a good sort of business kind of acumen. And you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get it right all the time. But just learn from them, and just, like I say, go into it with that mindset. Like, I am a business. I am the CEO of this business, and I make the decisions. Yes, I'm going to get advice and from unions and things like that. But ultimately, I make the decisions. I will set the price, and I know what I'm worth. I know what the market's worth. See what other people are getting paid, and see what the market will bear. Oftentimes it might bear more than you think. And sometimes when you say a price, if it's agreed to very quickly, then you know that you could have got more. It's always better to have a price that they go, okay, well, maybe that's a bit more than I thought. How about this? So always go for like a rebuttal, because if you just say this price and they go, oh yeah, great, then you've undersold yourself. So, and again, this stuff takes time. This is a whole section I could do another hour on about sales and marketing and how to position yourself. But let's just talk about as an overall mindset thing. And with that in mind, having a Google business profile is a good idea, because then it shows up on Google. So you might say, well, I want to just be online. I want to be on socials, and that's it. It doesn't matter. Well, that's fine. But if you think about it, if you're a working musician, and let's say people are in your town and they're looking for someone, musicians in Oslo, for example, and they'll type it in Google, won't they? And if your name doesn't come up, then obviously you're leaving money on the table. There's an opportunity missed. And if you're talking to people at a pub gig, for example, and they say, "Oh, what's your name?" and they'll search for you. And if you're not online, or if you're online and you haven't got many reviews, or your profile's not optimized or even claimed, then people think, "Well, who is this guy?" So it's not just it's having social proof. It's like being everywhere. So yes, have socials, be on TikTok or YouTube or whatever you need to be on, but also Google business profiles show you that you're a business, that you to be taken seriously. And like I say, this is one of those. So this, if you scanned this, it would take you to my not this one, because this is for somebody else, but it would take you to my profile, where you can leave a review, and that's when you collect reviews. So I've got 25 plus reviews on there, and they're all 5-star, and they've all got comments and pictures, and that helps you get found on Google, because all this activity helps you rise up and be on the front page. So when somebody's looking for a musician in Oslo, if you are a musician in Oslo, then that you'll be found. And again, I do a whole course on Google Business Profiles. So if you want to know more about that, and let me know. Just again, if you sign up to the email down below, not only will you get this and the other PDF, then you can get in touch with me. We can have a conversation about this, and I can show you my Google Business Profile course, which is very easy to follow, but will pay for itself many times over. And there was a guy called Johan Romslo. He's a musician. I did a workshop a while ago. He attended the workshop, and then a year later he rang me up apropos of nothing and just said, "Oh, I've got to tell you, I did that workshop a year ago. I didn't think much of it. I didn't like active. I didn't. I enjoyed it, but I didn't take action on it until now. And now I'm seeing how valuable Google Business Profiles are, because I'm getting a load of business from it, and I see now that the more I put into this, the more leads I'm getting. So it's important to be on have a presence on Google. And like I say, I can guide you through that. It's very simple. Sometimes it's not that easy to get accepted now, because Google have a very stringent sort of policy on how they accept people's businesses, but there's a way around that, and I can show you, which no one else talks about, how to get your profile approved quicker than most people. And again, these are little courses that I'm going to be doing. So if you're interested, let me know via the email that you're going to sign up to. So Google Business Profiles, essential if you're doing this kind of music, if you're a working musician, if you're doing pub gigs, if you're teaching, if you're if you're a music shop, or you're selling merchandise, or whatever it is, business-wise, put yourself on there. You will not regret it. Now, I think I've gone on longer than I thought, which is good. So I've basically just want to round it up now by saying, so I think you understand now how you can stack multiple layers of income as a musician. And there's more in the PDF, as I said, but these are the ones that I know personally about, that I've done and I am doing and have worked for me. There are a few more that I've done, which I can talk about more at another one, but these are the main ones that I can use as an income stack as a musician. And so, the one that I haven't told you about is PRS. Now, if you're in the UK, PRS is the Performing Rights Society. So if you sign up there and you, as a musician, and you have like live, you sign up your original music, and let's say you play open mics and you've got all your original songs listed, and you say, okay, I played the pig and whistle on this night, and I played these 3 songs in the open mic, because they've got a PRS license, if they should have, you will get paid royalties playing your own songs. And you go, wait, what? And again, a lot of musicians don't know this. So you can get paid playing your own songs, and the price goes up the bigger the venue. So let's say the big extreme is Oasis playing Wembley. They would get paid playing 22 of their own tracks. They would get paid accordingly to the size of the venue. If you were playing the pig and whistle 3 of your own tracks, you would get paid according to the size of the venue. So you can imagine how that's going to stack up. If you start playing festivals and bigger gigs, that's an incentive. And again, it might not start off as much, but you get these royalties back, and it just means you might be paying for your petrol money, you might be paying for your new strings, you might be paying for a couple of beers or a meal. But it means that you're generating income, and it gives you that incentive to go, yeah, I am going to go and play that open mic because I can earn a few quid playing my own songs. Not only that, but obviously I'm getting my own music out there. I'm building an audience, because you're going to have all the things I told you about, having a Google Business Profile, having a scannable card that people can interact with you with, a way of interacting and engaging with people, which means that they share the details with you, so you build a fan base and you start communicating with them. Remember the connect, communicate, and convert strategy. So all these things, if you have in mind, you're treating yourself like a business, and the more visible you are, the more reps you do, the more gigs you do, the more interactions you have, the more conversations you have, and the more people you get into your email list, the more sustainable your career is going to be. So that's it. That is every single way I have made money and making money in music. And most people will watch this and they'll nod along and never try any of them. But if you actually just do even one of these that are new to you, then you'll start making money almost immediately. And the music industry wants you to think about it's all about Spotify streams, right? And that's another strategy you can do. I'm not conversing that. I haven't made a lot of money on Spotify, so I'm not going to talk about that. But it's possible. You can do it. I'm not saying it's impossible. But there are many other ways you can do it as well, and ways of doing it quicker. So you don't need permission. You don't need to, the Spotify gatekeepers. You don't need to be in that exclusive club. You can make money from music doing lots of different things, as I've just told you. So let's wrap it up there. And like I said, finally, if you want to get your hands on this copy of Busking for Beginners, it tells you all about how to get started, and 52 ways how to make 10K as a musician. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you very soon on the email list. Don't forget to sign up.